This is episode 38 of Standing Out. Standing Out is a remarkable interview-style podcast with the intention to highlight women and men making outstanding contributions in their field. This podcast is generously sponsored by Think Global. Think Global is a business advisory firm working with women entrepreneurs around the globe to scale their businesses to the next level. This podcast is also generously sponsored by Smash Fund. Smash Fund is for the dreamer who dares to dream, the entrepreneur who eats obstacles for lunch, and a place where passions, people, and life collide. You can find your special invitation code in the description of this podcast. Today, I'd like to welcome Beth Rosenberg. Beth is an educator who works with teachers, students, technologists, academics, parents, families, and schools. She has worked on curriculum, strategic development, program outreach, interpretive educational exhibition material, partnerships and collaborations between cultural organizations, community organizations, and schools. Beth held education staff positions at I-Beam Center for Art and Technology in New York City, where she was the founding education director, and the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum, where she was the education program manager for many years. She holds a BA and an MA in art history and an MS in educational technology. Beth is on the faculty at the Brooklyn Experimental Media Center at NYU Polytechnic Institute in Brooklyn, New York. And as a parent of a teen on the spectrum, she is an advocate for students with disabilities. Welcome. Oh, and one last thing that I almost forgot. We can't forget this, Beth. Beth is also the founder and director of TechKidsUnlimited.org, a technology not-for-profit program for special needs youth. Now we can welcome you. Welcome, Beth.
Sorry about that.
Don't forget that very last line. Super important.
Yeah, because it's kind of unusual that, I'm an art history person who's now working with special needs youth and computer science principals and video and media. So people like to hear a little bit of my background so that it follows some trajectory.
Isn't that so interesting? We all want to place everyone on this linear path, but so many of us don't, including myself, do not have a linear path like that.
It's like, what do they say? An average person has 8 jobs, 8 different kinds of jobs in your lifetime. And it's really true. Although a lot of what I learned and what I did early on in my career really, really applies to, what I've been doing the past 7 years at Tech Kids Unlimited. So it all comes full circle in the end.
So let's start there. So how did you go from sort of this art history background to what you're doing now? What changed that path?
So, life has its, journey. And so my second child has autism spectrum disorder, and he was diagnosed at age 2, and he, is a terrific kid, but your whole world changes. And really I was working with underserved populations and children around art and art history for most of my career and teaching. And then once he was, born and started getting tons of early intervention, therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, applied behavioral analysis, my world, changed, and I started thinking differently. And, the personal is very, very political, that old feminist statement. And so it's I want to help my child, but I also at the same time want to help other, kids like him. In 2011, in 2009, when he was 11, he started becoming really interested in technology. And I was the computers in the house, the iPads in the house, he's watching YouTube videos, but I'm like, well, can he create these videos? Can he make these videos? Can he learn code? And so there was really no one out there in, my Northeast New York, city area doing that. And this is really before the whole coding STEM craze that has happened in the past 3 years. So this is really, this is 2009.
Yeah, that's early.
And so it was early. Mm-hmm. So I just basically, I said to my husband one day, I said, I'm going to put together a class for, kids. And we're going to, I'm going to hire some teachers, and I'm going to get some of his friends' parents, and I'm going to use my daughter's high school friends as community service volunteers, because these kids need a lot of support in the classroom. Yeah. And boom, in 2009, totally organically, we had our first iStop Motion class for 12 students.
Wow. You know what? And I don't know what it is about that stop motion thing, but we were we're in the Denver area, and we were at the art museum, and they had this great setup where the kids could take these magnets, put it on the screen, and do a stop motion video, and then upload it to YouTube. My son and then these other two girls that we didn't know kind of worked on one collaboratively, which was awesome. And they had, a dinosaur came in and scared the fishermen away, or what, like something totally
so inventive.
But you know what? They loved that. And it was such so much of it was one of those just easy entry points. Like, hey, sit down, try this, play with it. It's easy, non-threatening. And boy, it opened up a whole interest area.
Yeah. It's sort of amazing. Yeah. So we started out in 2009 really doing, iStop Motion. And here it is, 7 years later, we're a non-for-profit. So we became a non-for-profit in 2014. And now what we do is we partner with universities. One of our biggest partners, the NYU Tandon School of Engineering, the Integrated Digital Media Program. And we have a beautiful classroom and 20 computers, actually more than 20 computers. And now we split the program between youth age 7 to 13 and then teens age 14 to 19. And so we've, really grown. And over the course of a year, we see 250 kids. We just came off of an 8-week summer workshops where they're all project-based weeks. And so 1 week you're learning 3D printing, the next week you're learning coding with Unity, the next week you're learning gaming with Scratch, then you're learning video editing, and you start on Monday. You don't have to know anything. If you know a little, that's good, but by Friday you have a finished project.
That is so awesome. So from the entrepreneurial side, tell us how you grew from this one, hey, we're going to try it, we're getting my daughter's friends involved and everything, to having a formal program with a university and summer camps and all of that.
I would like to say also that I've done the program for 7 years, but only in the past 2 years have I paid myself. So I've definitely bootstrapped, Thank you
for being honest about that, because I think so many of us think, oh, we're in business, now we're going to be millionaires. And it's a long journey.
It's a really long journey. Right, exactly. So the thing is the first, 4 years, I wasn't a non-for-profit, so I couldn't apply for grants or anything like that. It was just it was basically I just needed enough money. We would charge for the workshops, and I would get all the facilities and computers and stuff for free due to wonderful university partnerships from from my other, from Pace University and also from NYU and from the JCC Manhattan and community organizations. So for the first 4 years, we, all I cared about was getting the program out there, through mommy marketing, and basically, what am I saying? Sorry.
No worries.
Getting the program out there, and then also just having enough money to pay the instructors. Yeah. Right. That's all I really cared about. And in the first 4 years, I didn't have a website. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have, a board. Yeah. I didn't have, a program manager. It was just me, and I'm sort of an OCD, ADHD, my kids call me person, where I constantly have to be busy. So I was able to do this because I had 10 other consultant jobs. So in my 10 other consultant jobs would kind of, help offset, me spending time on Tech Kids Unlimited, but it's really a passion. Like it has to be your passion. Like if you don't love it and if you're not thinking about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, then you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. It is so that starting and building something from nothing, I think there's something so beautiful in that. And I think it probably is something related to the passion. Like this just has to be out there, that it's going to be created out of thin air. And I think that's amazing.
I never set out to, start a business. I never set out. I was never like, oh, this is a business idea. Oh, we'll make money from this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll pay myself. It was literally like I saw a need.
Mm-hmm.
The need was based on my own child. The more, as an educator coming into it, I like wrapped my head around, if my kid needs it, other kids are like him that need it.
Mm-hmm.
The need is not being served. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's really, how it came about. Like when, the other day I was, sitting, just doing a little relaxing on the beach, and sitting with my friend, and we were sitting with her father, and he was like, "What are you doing now, Beth?" And my friend said, "She has her own non-for-profit that she runs." And he was like, "Well, what do you do there?" And my friend was like, "Dad, she's the executive director. She does everything, she has a staff. She has a budget,
Yeah.
He was like, he didn't, and this is someone who knows me for a long time. But
oh my gosh. Yeah. So what do your kids think? Do they have great pride? Are they into it, not into it?
No, well, my son is, he's really my co-founder, and I call him the co-founder, and he gives me the greatest ideas. He loves it. I mean, this year he spent 6 weeks of the 8 weeks with us in the teen program, and we created that really because he said to me, there needs to be a teen program, Mom. I don't want to be with the little kids anymore. And I was like, you're right. You are totally right. The little kids, the 8-year-olds don't need to be with the 16-year-olds.
Right.
And so he told me that last year. And then in the fall, we piloted out. It worked. And so this was the first summer where we actually had 2 separate programs, which was really, nice, in 2 different rooms and stuff like that. So that was him. I mean, he is constantly, telling me ideas. We should do this. We should do that. Like, Mom, how about we do an election day program? Because everyone's really into like Trump and Hillary, and there's so many fun memes and Photoshop and stuff that's coming out of that. And I'm like, you're right.
That's cool. Yeah.
So we'll do an election day. So he's constantly thinking about it too, and he also. He makes video shows of every single week. So he's very involved. He's my founder. And, the program wouldn't happen without him. And I think as he gets older, he'll get more and more responsibility. Like this year, I was really proud of him. I told him that the little kids were learning iMovie, and he's like an expert on iMovie. And I said, do you think you would like to teach them for an hour? And I was like, and he was like, yes. And he went ahead of his own volition and created a PowerPoint to teach them. Like, I didn't say, like, some people teach with a PowerPoint, some people don't. Yeah. But he literally, I found him in his room one night, and I was like, go to sleep already. What are you doing? And he's like, Mom, I'm making my PowerPoint.
Oh, my God.
I'm teaching on Thursday. And I'm like, so, I mean, I think that, like, when you wrap kids' heads around something that they want to do and that they have an expertise in, it gives them a ton of confidence. It really helps them. And, with kids on the spectrum, who have all sorts of like learning disabilities, emotional challenges, this is like, for him, this has become a great way to sort of strut his stuff.
It sounds like it. Yeah. And I love that he's so involved, and you even have him as the co-founder. I know I was talking to another woman entrepreneur. Her kids are quite a bit younger, maybe 3 and 5, and she has a product-based company. But she was saying even the little ones, she helps, or even the little one, she lets that child help pack up for the trade shows and the farmers markets or whatever, to be involved. And I think that's really great. I
think it's great for women to always show their kids that like work is a part of life. It's a
Yeah.
daily activity. And like, just because you have kids, it doesn't mean that you're stopping work.
Mm-hmm.
That many people to love your children, whether it be a family member, a babysitter, another sibling. I've always, said that. But at the end of the day, for me, I mean, I'm very family oriented. And I do, when I lecture and stuff like that, I always say, I'm a mom first. And even my staff, who are these wonderful 20-somethings, I'm a little bit mommy-ish to them, like, as well. I'll be like, we're going on a field trip. Did you pay? And I'm like, excuse me, but like, I'm sorry. No, I'm a mother. And they laugh and laugh. I'm like,
oh, that's great.
It's just eating a Pop-Tart for lunch?
Yeah.
Not
you
good.
need nutrition, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So as we kind of come to the end here, I have one more question for you. And in the STEM field, because you were such an early adopter at getting this program up and out there back in, 2009, we have seen so much movement in STEM. What is kind of on your radar, or what's the trend in STEM that you think we'll all be talking about in a year from now?
That's a hard question. I mean, the question that I'm really concerned about is jobs for kids with disabilities. That's my real thing, because little kids with disabilities grow up to be big kids with disabilities. I mean, I think we're going to be, we're more and more tech focused. I mean, you cannot apply for a job these days if you, don't have a good handle on everything, computer related, and things like Photoshop are just as important as, making a PowerPoint, or just as important as opening a Word document, but I think it's going to go further with things like, you have to edit your own video. I think that's very important. So all of these things that in the, tech field which have been like specialties, I think are going to become just usual necessities. I'm not saying that everyone has to learn to code. It's good to read a little code. It's good to know a little what it is. But I think things like, Photoshop, InDesign and editing, I think are going to be more and more prominent, that you must know how to do those in order to do the job.
Yeah, it's not, it seems, I would agree. It seems like it's not just for graphic designers. I mean, even on our team as a social media company, we have a graphic designer, but there's also other team members that are photographers. They can do graphic design, they're writer, like there's all these other little skills that they don't need it as their full thing, but they need some of it. They just
It's like you almost have to be more of a generalist. Like you have to know a little bit of everything. You can't just say, I'm a writer. Like it has to be like, I know how to edit, I know how to write, and I know how to, do some sound editing, and I can put together a podcast, and I can, all of that. I mean, skills that you're being asked to learn, I think, as a millennial and onwards, are much bigger, deeper. That's why I think that, people who haven't been in the field, like my friend who's been raising her children, and, she doesn't even know how to attach a document onto a computer anymore.
Oh,
and
wow,
it's ridiculous. It's awful. Basic things.
We move so fast. There's always another new skill within technology that, everyone just needs to know how to do it. The attached document is one.
Yeah. And that's why I think, like, for kids on the spectrum who love technology and they have an innate ability neurologically to understand the language, the more that we can train them at this young age, like I like to say, like the smarty pants, typical Bronx Science in New York City, Bronx Science kids who love robotics and, stuff like that. I mean, all kids need to be exposed to, science, technology, engineering, arts, math types of careers, because that's really where future jobs are. And only go to school for a certain amount of time in your life, and then you spend 3/4 of your life in the work world. And I feel like students with, autism spectrum disorder deserve to have meaningful and successful lives.
Right.
And so we need to, you know, work with them right now. So, you know, my program, you know, Tech Kids Unlimited, is really, you know, a very supportive, you know, small but hopefully growing, you know, program. Takes a lot of years, takes a lot of time. And the other thing too is, like, I'm not going to get rich at this program.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to get rich.
It's
but
passion. You know?
Like, I recently said to someone, I said, in an odd way, it's like, I know why I was put on this earth. You know,
I think there is something so fulfilling and rewarding about that, to know that, like, this is what you're here for.
Yeah, this is what I'm here. I'm here to help the next generation of kids on the spectrum learn technology and hopefully get jobs. That's what we're working towards at Tech Kids Unlimited. And that's my job as an entrepreneur, is to, you know, push those kids forward. And hopefully next generations of kids will be like, oh, great. You know, maybe I'll get a line in a history book, you know, or something like that. That would make me super happy. You know?
And you're doing it, and that you're such an inspiration. And thank you. I mean, thank you. Of course. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work you're doing. It's amazing.
Thanks.